It's time to talk about the very best comic books this week. Our good friend Drew from Comics Elite gave us the 411 that it was going to be a good DC week. I think you were correct. We have 8 comic books that we're going to be recommending for you. We're going to start out with the indies. We're going to have Marvel, and we're going to end up with DC Comics. This one's bittersweet. We're going to go to the indies first, Drew.
Yes, we will. Let's do this.
I really like Orphan and the Five Beasts. We're on issue number 4. Finally finding the second master that's been possessed by demons for Mo to take care of. And from what I can gather, this is the last issue. What the fuck?
Yeah. 4 issues. And this series kicked off April of last year. It's been almost a year for 4 issues, which is insane.
James Stokoe is such a great artist. You can see he puts a lot of work into it, but apparently it just wasn't selling enough that we're not going to get the entire story where Orphan takes down all 5 beasts. But it's such a wonderful comic book. You get a little really cool stuff. This time we meet Chopper Tang, and he's the master of the waters, Strider, buoyant fist style. Great name for it. The first villain was Thunder Thighs, which I thought was another great one. The art in here really differentiates itself. James Stokoe does such a great job, and it's just a wonderful world that he was creating. I feel terrible that he's not going to be able to flesh it fully out before this story ends. 4 issues of a fantastic brand new indie comic, and I think Orphan and the Five Beasts from Dark Horse is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. We had a lot of fun reading that. We were laughing our butts off reading each issue. It's very creative. He's a very detailed artist, and I really don't think Dark Horse really did much in advertising it at all, which is a shame. And I really hope he can really take his talents to a publisher that can really show off his talents, or advertise it, or do his own thing. We'll see what happens. The future's bright for him. I know he's got a bright future in comics.
No, if James Stokoe went on a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and try to crowdfund the rest of the story, I would absolutely support it. And I'll do my best to get the word out because I would love to see the end of this. But we got 4 phenomenal issues. It looks great. It reads great. And it was just a really fun world. There were a lot of really good laughs. Fun times to have with Orphan and the Five Beasts. Now we're going over to Dynamite for you. We haven't really talked about the Vampyverse, but you're jumping in on Christopher Priest here?
Absolutely. I haven't had a chance to really talk about it because I've had other great indies to talk about, but I figured this would be a good week to talk about it. So this may be shocking to some people, but there are actually stories inside the Dynamite books. They're not just cover buys. You're not just buying it for the Lucio Prio cover or the Adam Hughes. But Christopher Priest, he's been writing Vampirella now for almost 3 years, I believe, and his story has been terrific. And this one is the Vampirella, Dracula, the Unholy #3. We're seeing that Vampirella has married a young man. We do find out that this gentleman is gay, but I don't want to spoil what happens to the guy in this book. But just know it is hysterical, and they're trying to stave off Dracula from coming back, but he may be finding a way back into the real world. But do know this is a very fun read. It's it's gory, it's funny, it's action packed. Christopher Priest is a terrific writer, and I really, really hope he gets on more books. I know he's been around for a while, but we need to see more of Christopher Priest.
Christopher Priest is an absolute legend. Obviously, he's worked a lot with Marvel, DC, Milestone, and all that. He's definitely found his niche over here on Dynamite, doing some great things with Vampirella, which I don't think probably a lot of people would have, predicted that this is where he be something that he would really fall into and do great work on. But Christopher Priest is an absolute legend. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer in my mind, as far as the comic book creators. You have another book. You've been talking about this one. I like the Gold Rush. I like Cy Spurrier here and there, but it's really the art from Nathan Goodman, the Rush #4, that throws this book over the top.
You're absolutely correct. And, with the previous 3 issues, we've been kind of hinting and teasing about the big villain, the big monster in the background. But in this issue, it is full-on horror in this. So if you're like me and you got a thing for spiders, this is going to be terrifying reading this in certain pages. Guarantee you. We also get a big revelation into the disappearance of her son. This is a phenomenal, well-paced horror comic. I can't speak enough of The Rush.
I have a little bit of arachnophobia, I'm not going to lie. I do not like any spiders with hair on them, especially. Actually, the movie Arachnophobia gave that to me. I was never scared of spiders until I saw it. It was absolutely disgusting. Don't go see that movie if you haven't seen it, because there's no good reason to do it. But yes, there are some pretty pretty gross looking spiders in here. They're quite large. If you like horror, this is where it's at. If spiders are your button, it's going to push it on you.
Oh, absolutely. It pushed mine. It's hard to go back to reread it. I'm like, I don't want to look at this page again. I can't.
Too much.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Marvel Comics. There was a debut this week. I was a little apprehensive with Ben Percy after some of his work on Wolverine and his work on X-Force, and specifically his work on 10 Lives, 10 Deaths. With obviously 10 Deaths came out this week. I think Ghost Rider #1's really good. Ben Percy's story isn't the most original idea. Whoa, it's the Matrix. But, with Johnny Blaze kind of being inside of it. But the story, visual story from Corey Smith, the illustrations are fantastic. It really puts it over the top. It's definitely a recommend for me. If it continues down this slower paced storytelling, I don't think it works for a Ghost Rider story. But as an introduction to what they're going to be doing with the character, plenty of gore, plenty gruesome, and certainly a lot of intrigue in there. And I think Ben Percy, I don't know how he's going to execute it, but he's got the beginnings of a cool, interesting Johnny Blaze story.
He truly does. And yeah, the biggest point is the artist. Yeah, Corey Smith. His art in this was phenomenal, horrific, nasty. And I just love the, like you said, it's effectively a Matrix type world he's in. But we see that the slow, subtle of the world falling apart around Johnny. You see these little horrific elements in there to slowly come out. And then by the end, it is full on Lovecrafty and nasty at the end of it. And I loved it. I really hope we see a lot of horror action coming up in the upcoming issues.
Feels like that's where Ben Percy's going, and it feels like Corey Smith has got the chops for it. So it looked fantastic. It's definitely I was apprehensive, and I was very, very happy with what I received this week in Ghost Rider #1. You're going back to Old Faithful here. It's a comic book you and I have both talked about, we both love, and it's coming to its untimely end, unfortunately. Strange Academy 16.
Yeah, and I every week I go into this, I keep thinking or waiting to be let down. I'm always thinking this is going to be the week, but no. I always think it's going to be like Titans Academy. Nope. I love this series. You want to talk about a writer and a creator team that have gotten kids written right. This is the polar opposite of Teen Titans Academy. It is amazing. These kids are real. What they go through in this issue is a very real world thing. It's kids going to a dance. Certain one's going to be heartbroken by the end of it. I experienced that. My brothers experienced that. We all experienced that at some point or another. Well, some of us at a dance. But not of course not Wes.
Everybody wants to dance with the D-man.
Yeah, of course. But it really shows you that Scotty and Humberto are, in my opinion, after this book, are truly the best team at Marvel right now, and one of the best teams in comics. Like you said, it's a shame this is coming to an end. We had people comment in our video saying like, "Oh no, it's coming back. Season 2 is coming up." But my response is, we haven't heard anything yet. As far as I know, there's been no announcement of a season 2 or a second year or a sophomore year. So as far as we know,
they have said that is the case. But if it doesn't have Scotty Young and Umberto Ramos,
yes,
you got to win me over again.
Yeah, that's the selling point that for these two guys, and if it's like Chris can't write well, and like someone else, I'm like, no, I don't want to read this. These two were the selling point of the book.
No, they definitely dialed in the characters. They presented the story that everyone can really relate to. Scotty Young does do a really good job writing young characters. We've seen him do it with Middle West and some other things on the indie scene. And Umberto Ramos, it's shocking that he's doing the work of his life after leaving Spider-Man and going to a Strange Academy book. But this is everything DC wishes that they had in Teen Titans Academy. That one's being canceled, and nobody's going to miss it. Strange Academy's taking a little hiatus, supposedly, and everyone's going to miss it. You can just see it's the quality.
Yep, exactly. And if you just think about this, imagine putting Scotty and Humberto on Spider-Man. Just how amazing that would be. I just think this is the best team at Marvel. And
listen, if they wanted to do something with some of these new heroes and they wanted to elevate their profile with good, strong stories, they would put this team on Miss Marvel or something like that. Yeah, you want to do something with Miss Marvel that gets people in, put some creators that actually know how to write young characters, know how to draw young characters and make them look cool. Scotty Young and Umberto Ramos do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, put them on Champions. There you go. See what happens.
Exactly. Now let's go over to DC Comics. We got 3 DC Comics to review or recommend this week. Obviously, it's been slim pickings for the last few weeks, but they came back strong. First up is my recommend, Action Comics 1040, Phil Kennedy Johnson, Ricardo Federici. We're diving deeper into Clark Kent Superman as Gladiator on Warworld. We're also learning a little bit more of Mongol's plan and how he put everything together, and some, I don't know, more mysterious elements about Omok, and there's a Genesis something or other in there. But the illustrations, once again, very gritty, very dirty, just like Warworld should look like. Philip Kennedy Johnson. It's a shame that not everyone is reading this. If you're a Superman fan, I think you'll love Action Comics 1040 and the entire Warworld saga. He couldn't do this stuff on Earth. They had to, they made Philip Kennedy Johnson essentially take the character away so they could make John Kent Superman on Earth. With the situation he had, I can't imagine him doing anything better. Like, this is the Superman we all know and love. It's a little bit dirtier, a little bit harder on him, but it's going to be that much sweeter when he finally overcomes Mongol and all the warriors on Warworld. It's
really reminding me of the Superman Exile story when back in the 80s when Jerry Ordway was on the book, and he was in a gladiator situation fighting Mongol on Warworld. The catch here with this series is that it's illustrated in a much more pulp style, 1930s, 40s pulp style, kind of like a John Carter of Mars type thing. And I really, really am enjoying this, really digging this, and I really, really hope that it finishes strongly. And it's much better than anything else Superman is in right now, my opinion. And I'm still calling John Kent Superboy. It doesn't matter what it is.
Next up, we're going to Deathstroke Inc. number 6. Obviously, this is kind of in conjunction with Robin number 12, heading to this Shadow War event where you've got the League of Assassins and the Lazarus Army and everything, and Mother Soul and Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul apparently going to war. A lot of exciting stuff. Really like this week's issue of Robin, but Deathstroke Inc. was nothing to sneeze at. Joshua Williamson, Paolo Pantalena doing a great job and really building this out, and it did have a fantastic cover.
Yes, this had a lot of fantastic covers. And I showed off one of them last week, just him sitting on the throne. I loved it. And reading this issue, it really felt like a solid merging of both The Empire Strikes Back toward the end when Vader and Luke are on that scaffold. He's trying to get him to join them. And the scene in The Dark Knight when Joker goes up to the mob and just tells them, hey, this is all mine now. Felt incredibly fun, well-paced, suspenseful, funny, and just great dialogue all around as well. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
The next issue, they're gonna reveal who Respawn is. You know, the characters associated with Slade Wilson. And then we're heading to Shadow War with Deathstroke Inc., Robin, and Batman all tying in together. I think Joshua Williamson's done a fantastic job. This is a really exciting series. I thought it was going one way, and then they zigged when I thought they were going to zag, and we've gone in a completely different direction on this series. And I kind of like that, it not being completely predictable, but the new direction is equally satisfying. So people have tried that in the past, and they failed. Joshua Williamson absolutely is knocking that one out of the park. This final one, I've already talked about it on This Week in Batman. I talked about DC versus Vampires number 5. Absolutely recommended it. James Tynan, Matthew Rosenberg, Simone DeMeo, and Otto Schmidt.
Every week, once again, much like Strange Academy, I keep going into it expecting this is going to be the letdown issue. I'm always thinking this is going to be it. Other foot's going to come down. But no, it's such an awesome, hysterical, fun miniseries. I'm enjoying this much more than I have every right to right now. In the Batcave with Batman, Green Arrow, and the Justice League, creative uses with Kryptonite, and the links that Batman has to do to distract the Justice League. It is so kinetic and fun. I cannot recommend this enough. And it's still, I think I said this in a previous video, I'm having much more fun reading this than I had with Deceased. And I think anyone will thoroughly enjoy this as well.
Oh, yeah, this is nice popcorn comic book. You know, leave your brain at home, enjoy the action. And there's plenty of action and plenty of bloodshed going on in this comic book.
Yes.
Definitely some big turns from Wonder Woman and a few other characters. If you're a Hot Girl fan, I'm sorry. It might not be the ending that you want for that character. But, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. People should be reading that one. There's not a whole lot of fun to be found in comic books. There definitely is fun to be found in DC versus Vampires. I do want to say thank you very much to Josh for joining us. Is there anything else that you need to say? Did you got any covers? Oh my goodness. I want to fucking Jerome got me, man. Jerome got me on the comics aficionados. Is there anything else you needed to say? You got a project coming up? You got any covers from Comics Elite you wanted to pimp?
I'm just letting everyone know that Born of Blood number 1, the digital download, has gone out this past week. People are reviewing it, reading it, liking it, loving it. And I want your reviews, guys. And we're working on Born of Blood number 2 right now. I'm working on the script for Born of Blood number 3. Yes, things are in motion. Things are happening.
Well, you don't want Comic Quirks review because he'll tell you how it is. You heard what he did to Fatal J, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of terrified. Yeah, I saw him like, man, he's a little.
He's going to give you the business.
Yeah, he will.
If you can't get enough of Drew and I, last week we talked about the latest announcement is regarding Aquaman. They have a horror-based Aquaman series coming out from Ram V. It's going to be coming out, I believe, in June. If you don't have the details, definitely check this out. This is a comic book that's likely to show up on our best comics of the week list in the not too distant future.